All right, here we go. Sara here. Welcome back to another episode of You're Fucking Welcome. I have been having a very similar conversation with several different clients lately, and a similar conversation with myself, if I'm being completely honest. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted to record for today's episode, that conversation is just coming up for me because I just strongly feel that somebody, probably many of you, need to hear this and need to be reminded of this. And so again, it's what I felt called to share. It's probably going to be a short episode for that reason, but I hope that it lands and is received by the right person. I know that transitioning in your business, pivoting in your business, however you want to say that, can be a really scary thing. I've talked about this before. I have many episodes on this just about how, it's one thing when you're starting your business and you're in survival mode and you do what you need to do and you hustle and you put your head down and you get the work done because you got to pay the freaking bills. That's one thing. That's one level of difficult. But I find that later in business, when somebody is making money, when they become successful, the stakes are so much higher. They've got people to pay. That actually is so much more difficult because they're often in this like no man's land in the sense that they know that they're ready to move on. They're ready to do new things. They're made for and meant for such bigger opportunities than what it is that they're dealing with right now. But they have this tendency to really, again, get stuck in that in between because it's very uncomfortable and it's very scary to leave behind what we already know, what we've already experienced, that feeling that we could fuck it all up and, ruin essentially what we've built. But what I was saying to a client the other day is she was sharing with me, where she wants to go in her business and what she wants to do. And she just kept saying that but I'm confused, but I'm not sure this. And I was like, to me, everything that I'm hearing, you're not confused at all. You're just scared. You see very clearly where if you, had $1 billion in your bank account, you feel very clear about where you want to go. You're confused, quote unquote, but you're actually just in this place of uncertainty because you can't predict. You don't know exactly how it's all going to work out once you take that first swing. Once you enter into this uncomfortable new territory, you don't see clearly how it's, 100% factually going to go, but you're very clear on the vision. You know what you want. That you're not afraid, you're not confused about at all. You're just afraid to go after it, which is of course normal. Again, I've talked about this a million times, but obviously when we have, again, employees to pay, bills coming in and bills higher than they were previously, again, it can feel like, okay, great, we're successful. That's an awesome thing, but it can feel so much scarier at that stage. I know the more money that I've made, it feels like the farther that I could possibly fall. And that has felt way scarier than the days when I was broke. And so I know that that is such a terrifying thing to be in this place of stress and panic and kind of thinking about all the worst case scenarios and you want to keep yourself safe. But at the end of the day, you have a vision for a reason. And if that vision, if that dream, if that scenario keeps coming up for you, I want to be this voice for you that gives you permission to go for it and to trust yourself that you're not going to mess it up. But what I want to remind you of today is that that's going to be uncomfortable. If you are in this transition of, I'm going to start doing this new thing that I've never done before, and it's a higher price point, it's a different niche, it's a different business model altogether, the launching of that, the startup of that process is going to be uncomfortable. And that's something that you have to get comfortable with. That's going to be that stage of business where you have to lean into mastery of your emotions more than ever before. And if that means you have to stop 4 times a day to get re-anchored in the vision by taking 20 minutes of a time out and meditating on it and envisioning it and getting back to that place, that's what you need to do. And that's okay. But again, I find that so many of the women that I work with, they're such go-getters, they're such hustlers, they're so, ready and willing to do the hard work that they feel like they just need to go, do, and then expect in that place of stress and survival, expect to be able to get anchored in the vision. And they can't, they're not able to do that because again, they're getting buried by so much of the action and so much of the outside circumstances, the clients, the things that have to get done on the website, so on and so forth, all the logistics, they get buried by that. and then their vision also gets buried. And then what I find happens is that they run back to the familiar. They convince themselves that, oh, this isn't going to work. I have to keep doing what I've been doing. I have to go back to what worked before. I was crazy to, think I could do this. I'm fine with the old way. And again, in my experience, in my opinion, that's almost never the actual case. It's just that they didn't bet on themselves. And what I will find happen is that they won't bet on themselves until things get so bad that they have no other choice. And again, I'm bringing this up today because this might be you right now. You might be having a dip in income. You might be somebody who is not getting in as many sales as you did previously, and that's terrifying. And I totally understand how scary that is. But what I want for you to feel, and trust me, I don't take this lightly. I'm not just saying this to you because it sounds good. I'm saying this to you because I believe so deeply that you wanting something and you believing in something and then going all in on that something, I believe that you, for the most part, can't fail. Right? Obviously, there's going to be, different circumstances here. But again, in my experience, in my opinion, what I have lived through in terms of my business, when I believe in something and I go all in on that something, there's no way that it can fail. And so if you are somebody who is in this transition right now, you need to not only, again, get anchored in the vision of what it is that you want, take the time to do that each and every day and trust and believe that you getting what it is that you want, it couldn't go another way. The possibility of it not working is not even an option. It's not even something that we're going to entertain. But the other part of that is making it your mission to keep getting back to that place, to keep getting back to that place. And again, I want to stress this because that moment when you have to keep entering into the next phase and getting anchored in that vision, again, that's the uncomfortable work. And I find, again, I work with so many women, like I said, who are hustlers, who are the doers. They're not the people who are just like, hey, I want this thing to happen. I want it to fall out of the sky. My clients, the people who work with me, are the ones who are ready and willing to do the work, so much so that they don't so often understand that the doing of the work is actually in the sitting of the vision, right? It's sitting with that vision and reminding yourself, no, this is what I want. This is who I want to be. I trust that this can happen. I know that this can happen for me. And so if that means, again, I have to sit my ass down 4 times a day to remind myself of that so that I can act accordingly, that's what you need to do. And again, that's going to be the moment that it's uncomfortable and you're very, very, very tempted to run back to where you were previously. And again, for somebody listening to this right now, I want to beg you not to do that because it's going to keep you in this place where you keep convincing yourself you're confused. You keep convincing yourself you have to figure out this, that, the other thing. And again, in my experience, it's not that as much as it is that you have to give yourself permission to own what it is that you want and take the action towards it, believing fully that you can have it. And, the line that I've used many times is that now I'm going to go ahead and assume 99.9% of you are not sitting here listening to this and being like, I want to cure cancer, or I want to bring somebody back from the dead, or I want to be able to control the weather, right? You're not wanting something that is outrageous. You only wanting to do one-on-one coaching, you wanting to speak on a stage. These are not crazy fucking things. Maybe you've never experienced them before, but they're not these outlandish things that you couldn't possibly ever happen to you and that are so wild and so out there and so unrealistic. You want what is possible for you. Again, it's unfamiliar and it's uncomfortable because you've never experienced it and you've never went after it before. But there's a whole lot of shit that you've never done and experienced before that you have done now, right? You've accomplished many, many, many things. I know if you were listening to this, you have hit that first milestone. You have gotten the business up and running. You've had that 50K month, that 100K month, whatever it is that you've set out to do for the most part, you've done it. And I bet before you did it, you didn't know that you could do that either. So again, right now you are uncomfortable. And I want to honor you in that discomfort and let you know and make you understand that it is okay, that you are in unfamiliar territory, that you are in no man's land. But what you desire, the vision that you have for yourself and your business, it is yours. It's real. It's there for a reason. And I want you to stop convincing yourself that you're confused, or stop convincing yourself that you need validation from whether it's customers or whether it's a coach, and choose to trust yourself and choose to trust that the validation comes within. Because again, if you've had that vision, it's yours and it's meant to go after. And I mean, again, if you're listening to this, I'd like to believe that you know that I'm not super fluffy and woo-woo, right? I'm not sitting there saying, again, wish for it and it's going to happen. But in my experience, my opinion, doing what I've been doing for as many years as I have, I've never spoken to somebody who wants something crazy, who want something outrageous. Their dream, their vision is very, very, very possible. It's just a matter of them believing that it's possible for them and then going the fuck after it as if their life depends on it. Because again, when I see somebody do that, it never fails. It never fails. And I want you to believe that that can be your truth as well. And so again, why don't you just do a quick short episode for you today and say that to you, especially if you're somebody who needed to hear it. Doors are open right now for Momentum, which is a group coaching experience it's honestly become one of my favorite things to do. We have 2-hour live group coaching calls every Friday. Everybody gets about 10 minutes, depending on how many people are on the call, just to ask me whatever it is that they need. I'm working on this thing. Can you give me your opinion? Or this thing isn't selling. What can I do to tweak it? Here's my offer. Can you give me some input? Whatever it is that you need. We talk productivity, mindset. We talk about all the things, and they're really my favorite calls to do because they're so organic and they're so uplifting. And I really created this container for, anyone, meaning any stage of business. We have people who are new. We have people who are making great money, 6 figures. Everyone's at different levels, but I believe that the common thread, if you will, is me. And it's the way that I coach and it's the way I teach. And I'd like to believe, high level coaching where, again, everybody needs to hear what I have to say, even if it's not exactly what they're going through right now, but at a really accessible price. It's $500 a month, or I think it's $25 or $27.50 paid in full for 6 months. I forget off the top of my head. But there is that pay in full discount if you wanted to do that. It is a strict 6-month commitment. Please don't sign up for this if you're not somebody who is ready and willing to keep a commitment. I have really very little patience for that, and that's a whole other episode in and of itself. But with me, you always get what you were promised. And so if you are somebody who would want to be on these group coaching calls, get that little bit of feedback, again, for a very accessible price. It is worth so much more than what you're paying. So if you are somebody who wants to be in my world in that way and that energy, and again, they're high vibe calls, I would love to have you. I'm opening up 5 spots only. We really can't fit more than that so that everybody has time to chat each week. And then doors will actually close on Friday. So whatever happens first, whether 5 spots are filled or doors close Friday, either way, it will be closed after Friday. So SaraDann.com, as always, for all the details on that. And I will talk to you next week. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, I would really, really, really appreciate it if you took the time to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps the show a ton, and I would be super grateful.